What's up, everybody? It's Frederick Douglass Bussy back with another whiteboard session with you today. Today, we're going to be talking about something I think is super important: how to scale your business by charging the storm. And if you wonder what charging the storm means, stick around. We're going to get into it. Let's go to work. So, I first heard this concept about charging the storm from Gary Keller on his podcast where he talks about leadership as a CEO. And Gary Keller has been a big influence on my life in terms of leading a lot of core concepts. Uh, he's the founder of Keller Williams Realty, one of the biggest real estate firms in the world, $1 billion plus real estate agency. And one of the things that he talked about is this concept of charging the storm. It really comes from understanding in nature. One of the few animals that has a different type of behavior around storms are buffalo. And what buffalo have understood is that the fastest way to get through a storm, to the other side of a storm, is through the storm. Whereas most animals will hunker down and wait for it to pass, or they will run away and find shelter. The buffalo will actually go directly into the storm. So if the storm is coming from the east, they will go west into the storm because the fastest way to get to the other side is through it. It's a very, very simple, fundamental concept, but it really applies to us in our business and in our lives. And I want to talk a little bit about why that's so important, right? Here you see we got the storm. And we understand that charging the storm is a counterintuitive thing, right? Psychologically, whenever we are faced with difficulty or circumstances, we have a flight or fight response, right? And so most of us will choose flight or we will fight in terms of relationships, right? So if you have a business partner and there's a situation that comes up, the stress level rises. What do? You have conflict because the natural thing is to fight each other instead of fighting the situation. Or you run away from it and you avoid the problems. Maybe it's hard for your partners to find you, or you can't seem to find a time. There's always something else that comes up, right? And so a lot of times what we're doing is we are avoiding the situation instead of actually dealing with the problem that is arising. I see this happen with companies notoriously when it comes to recessions, right? You're laying people off, yes, but you're also trimming the fat. You're trimming down expenses because this is what people want to see. The markets want to see you, quote unquote, be smart and stop spending money on certain things. Well, you can't spend money on that. You can't spend more money on marketing. You can't spend more money on this. And yet, time and time again, if you look at the data, those who lean into acquiring more business in times of difficulty actually come out further ahead because they have invested, doubled down, tripled down on going bigger into the marketplace, getting more of a share of the market, more mind share of the audience, etc. And so it's counterintuitive. Everybody wants to be safer in times of distress, in times of a storm, when in reality, the stress test is seeing if can you handle the storm. Because if your business is not equipped to charge into the storm, that is a sign of weakness. And you got to shore that up. And running away is not going to be able to help you. So figuring out what do we need to do to be able to charge into this, to be able to be better equipped to go through the other side, is the more powerful way of showing up. And yet very few of us actually do this, right? And there's a couple of reasons why. I want to talk about that from a mindset perspective as a leader, as a business owner, because allowing you to be able to understand this is going to help you to be more impactful going forward. Right. Now, let me pause here for a second. If you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn, drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching this, what you're discovering from this process. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in there as well. And if you're watching this on replay, drop a hashtag replay so I can know that you're catching this secondhand, but also you can still feel free to drop your comments. We'll make sure we respond there as well. All right. Now, there's a couple of things that we want to talk about. One of the things that we deal with, right, is the fight versus flight response. And typically, what that can look like for some of us is procrastination. I heard a great definition. Mel Robbins was talking about a study that a doctor did, and I'll have to put his name in the comments. But he did a study, and the definition that he gives for that is procrastination is a deep desire to feel good right now. And so, what a lot of us are doing is when we're in fight versus flight scenario, we are feeling unsafe, right? So the storm is threatening us. And so, just like my kids, when there's thunder and lightning, sometimes it's really, really loud. They cover their ears. They want to go and run and hide under the bed or hide under the covers. They want to be held. They want to feel good right now. They want reassurance that everything is going to be okay. We see this in the stock market when people are looking for their stability, and so people run. They sell what they have because they want to feel better. Even at a loss, they'll sell their shares in a company because they want to feel better right now versus sticking to the principles and charging into the storm. It feels counterintuitive. It feels safer. It feels better to hang tight, to cover up, to run away versus charging into the storm. But you got to remember, everything that we want, all the greater outcomes that we want are on the other side of the storm, right? All the greater outcomes that we want on the other side of the recession. People are saying we can just get through this, but you don't want to just get through it because it's coming at you. And if it's coming at you, it's going to hit you anyway. So why not charge through it and be able to navigate it better? And so that shift in perspective and understanding that, am I procrastinating on the things that I need to do right now, the things that I need to focus on right now to be able to better handle what's happening? Because if it's thundering and it's lightning, I'm going to get wet. It's going to be loud. But in reality, as long as I am in a safe place, as long as I am not fully exposed, I can learn to take advantage of those situations that are happening now. Why is it most important in difficult times? It's most important in difficult times because that's what it's counterintuitive to what most other people, most other companies, your competition is doing, right? So there are going to be times when you feel like, well, I'm just going to wait until things are safer, when things are easier, right? When it's less stressful, I can think more clearly. And in reality, you don't want to wait till things are easier. You want to learn how to get better when things are harder. How can I equip my team to be more efficient and more productive when things are hard than when they're easy? Because if they're easy, it actually makes us lazy. It actually doesn't make us better. It doesn't make us sharper. It doesn't make us actually hone in and focus on the things that are most important. You need to sharpen your focus in times of difficulty and stress, because that is where the greatness is revealed, right? We look at many of the greatest athletes in the world. We define their greatness by their ability to perform in the most difficult, most challenging of circumstances, when the pressure is highest, when the stakes are the highest, when things are going against them the most, when you're down by 20 in the fourth quarter, and you've got to be able to find a way to come back, because if you don't, your season is over. Those are the things that define us. And in business, you have to be able to do that, because it's always the fourth quarter and things are always going to be pressed against you. Always going to be that way. Hey, Martina, thanks for your comments. Yeah, the test is going through the storm. Feeling unsafe and feeling good right now is my procrastination. It's how we are, right? We put things off because in our brains, doing this thing threatens us. And if we feel threatened, we want to feel safe. And so feeling safer means not doing the thing. Feeling safer means not going there, leaning into. Feeling safer means not spending the money and making the investment, because we'd rather have the money and hold on to it, because in our minds, as long as I can look at my bank account and see this money is there, I feel safe. And we value that instead of getting what we want. ultimately the greater outcome, which means that I have to make an investment because it's going to cost you time, it's going to cost you energy, and it's going to cost you money anyway, right? The storm is still coming. And so feeling safer in the eventuality that something else is going to come up, when this is what's staring you in the face right now, something else is always going to come up. But are you going to be better prepared to handle that situation now and in the future, or just maybe later? Are you willing to just let your resources and your abilities erode over time? Or are you going to start to make the investments to store them up? See this happen time and time again. Um, Clients will come to us, potential clients will come to us and say, hey, we're looking at working with you, or whatever the case may be, but we're just not sure now is a good time. All right, well, when will be a better time, right? A better time will be when things are easier, when it feels like we have more money, when you feel like things are not so stressful, right? But the thing is that when people approach us or when we're dealing with situations, the storm is always imminent. The storm is always coming if it's not already here. And so the idea that we will be more safe by putting things off is an anomaly. It's a fallacy. It's a lie. It's not true. And until we learn how to step into that, to lean into that, to avoid the procrastination, right? And let me give you just one last example. As a leader, as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to combat that feeling and to be able to think clearly. Part of that thinking clearly is the self-awareness of what's happening when we're feeling that, right? So when the thunder and lightning hits, when the storm hits, when you get that call, that email that says things are going downhill, right? There's a fire that you've got to put out. You're seeing the news and they're talking about the recession and that your industry is shrinking, whatever the case may be. It's going to get harder. What's that feeling in the pit of your stomach, right? And how are you responding to it? Because there's a voice that starts talking to you inside your head. It starts telling you that you've got to do something or you got to run away, that you need to shrink, you need to cower down. And we talk about this sometimes even with our clients. Like there's a voice inside of our head, and there is, I won't get too deep into it, but there is a point in our lives when we have experienced something that has taught us that we need to have a certain response to be safe. And this response is what most human beings are dealing with, right? 99% of the population listens to that voice, and that voice directs them. Instead of you talking back to that voice and having the conversation that says, no, this is what we need to do to move forward. We have to learn how to charge the storm. Having that skill set will get you what you want most out of life more often than not. And here's the fact of the matter, that even if you don't have an ideal outcome by charging through the storm was coming anyway. All the things that were going to happen were going to happen because that's what life is. The universe is chaotic. The law of entropy says that things fall apart. And we have to apply intention to it to be able to give it the structure that it needs to form the outcomes that we want, to create the outcomes that we want in our business. If you want to scale your business, you have to apply intention. You have to make a decision about what you're going to do actively to make that happen, because it's not going to happen accidentally. Even if it feels that way, maybe you've been doing things accidentally that have been helping your business to grow. If you don't continue to do those things, if you're not aware of what those things are, if you don't double and triple and quadruple down and 10x down on those things, then they will go away because someone else will come in and recognize what you're doing and they will take it away from you. Because the natural tendency of human psychology is to allow things to dissipate when we're feeling safe. So when the stakes are the highest, that's when you have to get the best out of yourself and out of your team. You've got to understand how to charge a storm. Maybe this seemed really simple. I don't know. Let me know if this is valuable for you, though, in this conversation. Drop that in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share this with someone you think is valuable for them as well. What are you doing to charge the storm? Are you in fight or flight? Are you procrastinating? Where are you giving up your power to be able to lean into your business, to be able to scale it, to grow, and to be able to get the most out of it? Because believe it or not, you can think that you're being smart because you're being safe. And in reality, the smarter thing to do is to gird up and charge the storm. Thanks for taking notes, Martina. I appreciate your comments. For those of you who are watching this on replay as well, let me know what you're discovering. As always, my name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. It's been another whiteboard session. Hopefully, it's been valuable for you. Ever forward.